Howie Chaney.
For all you've done to your bodies. It's still real to me, damn it! I mean...
Pockets!
You're going to get us in trouble with YouTube.
I know how long I can go.
You know, give Tony Khan credit for going out and buying the rights to all this music.
Yes, I give him all the credit in the world for doing it. Who would have thought an old Jane Jefferson Starship, perfect entrance for him. We saw him live in Huntsville, and the crowd was singing every word of it. It was like Jericho with his own music above him. It was definitely special, wasn't it?
Absolutely. But hey, welcome to the show. It's still real to me with me being the host. Yeah, we're missing one person tonight. Jeremy's on the beach somewhere, but QB1 here is here with us, and we got a special show for you tonight. It's going to be a kind of a quick edition. We're going to have a few stories about some people that's passed away in the last couple of weeks with Iron Sheik and Superstar Billy Graham, and then also we're going to talk about Forbidden Door, the big pay-per-view this weekend for the AEW on Sunday. But Randall, how's your day been today?
It has been great. I did want to make sure everybody realized we have specials, hour-long specials coming on both Billy Superstar Graham and the Iron Sheik in the future, but we've been kind of jammed up and not had a lot of airtime lately, so we definitely want to salute both guys here after we haven't been on in a couple of weeks and talk about both of them. Week's gone good. Friday night's almost over. I'm looking forward to Forbidden Door. There's a couple of things about it I don't like, but overall, with me being a New Japan fan, it's a huge night for me.
I'm looking at the card right now, and you know, it's the closest thing you can get to a WrestleMania card that they can have. You know, and at first I wasn't real sure about the Forbidden Door gimmick type deal, but I do like it. I really do enjoy it. I wish more organizations would drop their pride and do this.
Well, I think this took a little bit of Tony Khan being willing to, early on when you saw Forbidden Door, it was a lot of it was AEW people putting over New Japan people. And I think he earned the trust of the leadership of New Japan. And you see Rocky Romero on AEW now regular. And for folks that don't know, Rocky's the United, for lack of a better word, he's the United States booker for New Japan. He's the one that brings American talent over. And then, of course, this week on AEW was a who's who of New Japan wrestling, including an appearance and a very first appearance of Okada on AEW TV in America, which was people can say what they want to about Roman Reigns, and I know he's the best wrestler in the world maybe right now. His closest competition is Kazuchika Okada, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, it's a who's who. Unfortunately, I'm not a big follower of the New Japan Wrestling. I have heard all these names because you can't listen to a wrestling podcast today without hearing New Japan wrestlers' names being brought up, because I don't want to – I'll just go out and say it. They're so much better at performing in wrestling than what they are in the States right now.
Yep, and even the AEW guys that are here now, the Kenny Omega we're getting in AEW is not the same Kenny Omega we got in New Japan Pro Wrestling. We might see it this week, though, and I'm hoping we do, and I'm hoping Saturday night we see some things that we don't normally see, which is the American wrestlers kind of cut it loose, because this is definitely got a feel of New Japan. The only negative you're going to hear me talk about, Howie, is the EW World Title is just almost an afterthought in this deal. I think that's what I've read. It's coming on third or fourth from the last. So you've got MJF, and I don't know if MJF is holding his kettle like we thought he would as the world champion. I mean, he's great. His promos are great,
Right.
great in the ring, but something's not getting over with the fans of him as world champion.
Yeah, I think Jeremy mentioned this back several weeks ago. He's so much better at chasing the title than having the title.
Yeah,
And there's certain wrestlers that are like that. It's just like certain, we're big in sports. There's certain coaches that's better as being an assistant than being the head coach. And it's kind of like the same thing with MJF. It's so much better with him chasing than being the man.
well, there'd be an argument from anybody that really was a true fan of WCW, who was the top dog in WCW, Ric Flair, who held the title for decades, or Dusty Rhodes, who held it 3 times for a total of less than 90 days. Dusty was the chaser and Flair was the flag bearer. And that's the way it worked. We saw Cody Rhodes not want to get into that role in AEW
Right.
of the chaser, and it's kind of the role he's been cast in now in the WWE. So,
well, I don't know if it was the role that he had in AEW as the chaser. It's the fact of, I think everyone expected him to have the title once he went after it, and he didn't want to have the title.
yeah. He kind of made that TNT title his title. It's kind of a strange deal with Cody Rhodes. Now that I look back in AEW, is really, really a strange deal. He had the one great feud, of course, with the gentleman that died, and
Brody Lee.
I was trying to decide I was trying to remember which was his WWE name and which was, but Brody Lee and him had a great feud. Him and Scorpio Sky had somewhat a good feud.
Right.
He became the door opener. Every new talent they brought in was kind of put through Cody. And now in the WWE, with him not winning at WrestleMania, it's an odd position that Cody Rhodes fan, which I am. I love Cody Rhodes. He was my favorite in AEW. He's my favorite WWE wrestler. I don't think he's my favorite wrestler anymore, but it's an odd feeling right now. He's not won it. He's not completed it, but there's definitely a journey to go on.
With you saying that, I was thinking about it, and for me, the best way to describe it is, even though he don't have the belt, everybody's chasing him. It seems like
It's almost an uncrowned, and that's what Dusty was for decades. When you went to WCW or NWA then, and you were a heel, your job was to take Dusty Rhodes out. Period.
right.
Now, not some. Now that's almost a role that you see Cody in. That he is first Roman Reigns, then Brock, and they've been this tension between him and Seth Rollins. It's like he's everybody's big feud right now. So, but before we get off on that, I do want to take a minute, Howie, if you can bring us back to talk a little bit about Superstar Billy Graham and the Iron Sheik, if we can take a second to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know if you want to do it at the start or just go ahead and do the Forbidden Door and do it at the end. But either way, he's good with me. We can do it now.
I want to talk about them individually, and I want to talk about Iron Sheik a little bit. The most hated wrestler in history, I have no doubt. Piper was right there on his level, but Piper was also a good guy at times, and Piper would get the baby face pop every now and then. The Iron Sheik was a heel and a pure heel, and some of the things that Iron Sheik said would incite the crowd to a level that I've never seen. And even Freddie Blassie at times, who managed the Iron Sheik to the WWF title, was concerned for his health, I think, and
Right.
um,
Well, he came along at the perfect time with the conflict in Iran at the time, and then
yes,
all of a sudden here he is, and not only was he hated, but at the time the U.S. hated Iran as well.
they would be. I'm going to say it with both guys. There would be no Hulk Hogan and no WWF explosion. Hulk Hogan needed the Iron Sheik very badly to take that title away, and that kind of launched Hulk Hogan into the WWE. Take your vitamins, say your prayers. That Hulk Hogan, the cartoon kind of character that he was in the WWF, there was no greater foe for him to take that title from than the Iron Sheik. Now, of course, there's no greater rival than Roddy Piper at the time, but I just feel like the Iron Sheik was the perfect guy to take that title from. And when we do our full hour on the Iron Sheik, you'll see he's a little bit of a dream. I think he come to America wanting to be the American dream and end up being the Iranian hater.
Yeah.
But former Olympic wrestler, real deal, tough guy, trained with Vern Gagne. We've talked about so many guys that's trained with Vern Gagne.
Right.
Just an interesting story that when we start to unpack it, please join us for that, because I think you would be shocked when we get down to who the Iron Sheik was in real life and you hear his story, because everybody assumes he was the crazy guy that we've seen for the last 10 years. And I love that. I love some of the stuff he's done.
Yeah.
But the Sheik was a legit former bodyguard for the Shah of Iran, real live bad man. That's what the Iron Sheik was.
Yeah, my memory of him was real quick was those curled pointed boots.
Yeah, yeah. If you saw the WWE rivals, they go to look for those boots in his Persian clubs. That's the two things that they're looking for, is those girl boots and that Persian clubs, Howie.
Yeah, and I love the curl boots, and I always wondered, with him being a bad guy, why did he not take more advantage of that curled boots with that point on there? But that was just me being a kid wondering, why did he not take more advantage of that?
You got a little kayfabe going there, ain't you?
I know.
Yeah.
And then now the next one, the superstar Billy Graham. I remember him wearing the tie dye. That's what I remember seeing him, because when I started watching wrestling, he was on the back end of his career, and but I remember him just coming out with the tie dye shirts on, and what little hair he had left with the blondness.
Yep.
And I know you got a special name for him, so go ahead.
Well, I might save that.
Okay.
Um, well, we'll call him Hulk Hogan Sr. Because there is no Hulk Hogan without Billy Superstar Graham. And if you haven't went and watched Billy Superstar Graham in the mid 70s at some point in your wrestling journey, go Google Bull Rope match, Dusty Rhodes, Billy Superstar Graham, and it's just awesome, Howie. And when we talk about Billy Superstar Graham, it's going to be hard for me. It's another one of those that kind of like Terry Funk. Maybe the mainstream don't know as much about Billy Superstar Graham as I do. I do have one good story we got to tell real fast. Superstar, after his run as the WWF champion, or during his run as WWE champ, was he took the title off Pedro Morales and eventually loses it to Bob Backlund. That WWE territory had always been a good guy holds the title territory. all those years with Bruno, all those years with Bob Backlund, all those years about to come with Hulk Hogan. Vince McMahon Sr. was approached about, as Jim Cornette says, they can't love you till they hate you. Before was turning Billy Superstar Graham as the world champion into a face. With that character, that ability to present himself, I think if he does that in 77, we never see Hulk Hogan in the 80s because it'd have been too close of a parallel. It would have been way too close because Superstar Billy Graham, personal friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger, walked among famous people. Heck of a character. I can't wait to talk about him.
Yeah, to me, the similarity with that is kind of like with Ric Flair / Jeff Jarrett, the same type of styles. If they were closer together, one of them wouldn't have got over as well as they did. But there's so much of a big difference in them, it made it work. But with Hogan and Superstar Billy Graham, they were so close together that it wouldn't have worked, like you said, and more likely we wouldn't have never had Hulkamania, and WWE may not be as big as it is now.
He he reinvented himself. If you remember him coming to WCW as kind of the karate master with Kevin Sullivan, and he kind of changed his style a little bit down the road.
He, for me, the best I remember, he is one of the most muscular ones that I ever saw starting out. It's like he started a trend.
Billy Superstar Graham would tell you in a heartbeat. He definitely had some help. He was in that 70s. I have a magazine around the house somewhere, one of the old Bill Apter magazines, with Billy Graham standing on a trash can in the middle of New York City posing, and it's just unreal how big he was at the time.
Right. Yeah. But both of them, you don't want to say they're gone too soon because both of them live long lives.
Yeah. The Sheik was in his 80s, and I think Billy Superstar Graham was in his latter 70s. So, and in a sport that we see so many people die in their 40s, it's definitely good to see them make it.
And considering what all that they did during that time, we probably had them for bonus time.
Hey, if you ain't seen some of the Sheik's rants, you know we had him for bonus.
Right, absolutely. So now, be looking for that here in the next couple of weeks. Special hour on Superstar Billy Graham, special hour on the Iron Sheik as well. Once Jeremy comes back, and we'll get those out to you as soon as possible. But now we're going to flip back to the Forbidden Door AEW pay-per-view coming up this weekend on Sunday night from Toronto, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, I mean, I hit on it earlier. It's like a WrestleMania top card. There's 11 matches. Well, 10 matches for on the pay-per-view, but one for the pre-show. But still, Randy, my goodness, it's a who's who of superstars from the AEW / in New Japan Wrestling.
It definitely is, and and you saw it play out on TV. Who's the third man in the Sting, Darby Allin, Jericho? And there's been a lot of talk, a lot of names thrown out there that could be almost earth shattering. It could be. I know one rumor going around, and I'm not saying it is, but there's a rumor going around that it's Goldberg, that he's going to sign a little run with AEW and appear in London. And there are some people that says that it could be someone connected to Sting's past. Well, Lex Luger will never wrestle again, and hopefully Flair never wrestles again. But I thought myself, and he just retired last year, what if this is a great Muta?
Yeah. Well, actually, on the show last night, they said it was somebody that basically Jericho had made mad in the past or had issues with them. So I don't really know.
Let me say this. That's the reason I think it could be Goldberg. If you remember the huge program that went in the WCW that Eric Bischoff basically refused to pay off, was Chris Jericho ran his own program against Goldberg, and Eric Bischoff never paid it off. I think they had a TV match where Goldberg basically squashed him, and if you watch Jericho's face when he says that, he mouths, "No way." I
And of course, the big rumor out there is Goldberg wants a retirement match. Not saying this is it, but it could lead up to the retirement match.
So the rumor is the retirement match is CM Punk. CM Punk versus Goldberg in London in Wembley Stadium. And that would make a lot of sense, because those are two guys who have never faced each other either. So, and I think this leads up to Sting versus Jericho in Wembley Stadium.
Right.
I really think, we could see a lot of Forbidden Door become part of the Wembley Stadium show. I actually believe Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega 3, which is his 2, will take place maybe in Wembley Stadium. So I think there's a lot of storylines to be told. But, right now that match is second as the second match of the night. So if we're talking whoever it is, it's going to be, I think it's a name we all know and a name that's going to be someone used at Wembley Stadium with Jericho in the future.
Go ahead. I know you want you to drink. Go ahead. But I'm looking at it like this. Wembley Stadium, I think they held some stuff back just in case ticket sales wasn't real great. But since they've sold like 60 to 70,000 tickets, they're okay to keep stuff hid and bring out surprises at Wembley, and that's going to blow the roof off that place.
Yeah. Well, Sportscat, KEED, it's one of the better sports kind of rumor. There's legitimate news and then there's rumor. Their headline right now from today or yesterday at 11 o'clock was Sting, Darby Allin's mystery partner for AEW New Japan Forbidden Door, could be debuting former WWE superstar. And their angle with their article is Bill Goldberg. So, makes a lot of sense. But, yeah, there's a women's match before that in the Owen Cup. Athena versus Billy Starks in 0 Hour. I don't know who either one of those are. I know who Athena is, but that really seems like it's going to kick the show off and tear the roof off if the listing of matches are the same as what I saw on the AEW official website.
This is they've got this on the website I'm looking at. The Athena Billy Starks is actually a pre-show match, like a buy-in type deal.
Yeah.
And Athena, I've always enjoyed watching Athena wrestle because I always thought she was really good. Billy Starks, I've watched her a couple of times, but I don't think it'll be an okay match. It won't be the best in the world, but it'll be okay.
Yep. Couple of great kind of big matches out there. So.
Yep. And, there's Eddie Kingston bringing in Ishii to be their partner. That could be interesting right there.
The Stone Pitbull, and if you've not, I get excited about New Japan Wrestling ever since we started this show. I've been the guy up on the table banging the gavel for New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you haven't seen Tomohiro Ishii, he's around 6 foot tall, and he's built like Rick Steiner, I guess, is the closest person build wise. And he's not as athletic as Rick Steiner, but he is a double tough human being. And that is going to be very interesting to me. You've got Ishii Eddie Kingston and the Elite versus what is the Blackpool Combat Club, along with
Takeshita.
Takeshita and a shooter, Shuto, who's a pure shooter from Japan. And then you also got Moxley, Claudio, and Willer Yuta. Let's just go ahead and say it. Willer Yuta is in there to take the pin. He plays the role of Iron Anderson. He's there to take the pin so the Horsemen stay strong. All right. We've said it. It's out and open. We can talk about it now. Wheeler has his role to play because John Moxley's not taking a pin.
No.
Claudio Castagnoli is not taking a pin. And Bryan Danielson is not taking a pin. So you have to have one in every organization.
Right, absolutely. And, going back to this match here, you said the Elite, it consists of Adam Page and Matt and Nick Jackson. So, as far as that group right there, if anyone takes the pin, it'd probably be Kingston.
Yeah, or one of the Bucks. The Bucks will do the deed. That everybody that criticizes the Bucks, they've probably been pinned on TV more than any of the Elite.
Yeah, but in this match here, I don't think they would on this one here with it being that. I mean, I'm probably wrong, but it's not going to be a disqualification because AEW don't believe in that stuff.
Yeah, ain't gonna be no dusty finish.
No, not at all. And one match is got on here. I think it's actually going to take place on Saturday night. Is the CM Punk and you have to help me with that name. I don't know. Kojima?
Yeah, Kojima.
Yeah. I think that may be on on the Saturday Night Collision show, but I'm not 100% sure. And for some reason I've heard that match has been scrapped from the Forbidden Door, so that's why I'm thinking that it may be on the Collision.
I don't see CM Punk not appearing at Forbidden Door, so we'll just see how that plays out. I've still got it on my official card as a part of the Owen Hart Cup.
Right. Okay.
But my official card was 2 days ago.
Well, see, last night he joined up with the Hardys and someone else, and some reason I'm thinking that may be part of the Forbidden Door, but I'm not sure.
Now, I don't want to overlook the women's match because it's Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale, and it's only Willow Nightingale because her former WWE star got injured in recently in New Japan. She's the and I can't. Mercedes Mnit is what she's going by.
Yes.
Of course, the legit boss, Sasha Banks in the WWE. I believed that she was going to be at Forbidden Door. Mm-hmm. She is like, for the folks that don't realize, I think she's very comfortable being in New Japan. Kenny Omega left the WWE, which people don't put together, but a very young Kenny Omega was in Deep South Championship Wrestling with friend of River City Media, Jody Hamilton's son, Nick Patrick, the referee from WCW, on WC. We're going to try to have him on sometime. A member of River City Media. And Kenny Omega was just wanting to be part of the Japanese scene. And Sasha Banks got her start through her cousin, Snoop Dogg, went straight to the top. I think she's fairly comfortable being in that New Japan. The first, people don't realize women's wrestling to New Japan is brand new. She is breaking ground that has never been broke. I do think she wants to come back and appear in the U.S. On AEW. I'm still not sure if she don't make Wembley somehow, but I think this was intended to be Toni Storm against Sasha Banks, Mercedes Mnit, whatever she calls herself now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, during that match with Willow Nightingale, she called it on the fly for Willow to win win the title.
He did.
And, that was huge there for Willow because she wasn't expecting it. But Willow's been on AEW quite a bit, wrestling and all this stuff. But between Willow and Toni Storm, that should be a pretty good match right there.
Yeah, I can't see Toni losing that match, but it should be good.
No, yeah, I agree 100%. I think it should be a good match. I know we're looking at different ones on here because, I wasn't overlooking them, but it's down toward the bottom of my list as far as one I'm looking at. I'm sorry, but I cannot overlook Toni Storm at all.
Yeah. The star the other night.
Yeah, absolutely. You got Kenny Omega against Will Ospreay. That's, we kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. This is going to be the second match between them. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think this will close the show too.
That'll be the main event.
I think this will be the closer, and worldwide, maybe not in the U.S. Worldwide, these are the two of the three biggest stars in wrestling. Let's WWF out because that's really a United States-based company that does shows overseas, but Will Ospreay in Europe and in Japan, the biggest star in the world as far as there. And then Kenny Omega is Kenny Omega in Japan. And this is for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. They have set a precedent in New Japan with having Nakamura, our guy in the WWE, when he was in New Japan, he closed their WrestleMania with the NWJP Intercontinental title more than once. So I would not, the way it's listed in my is that closes it, and then Bryan Danielson and Okada right before that. But I think that happens towards the end, and that's where I'm saying AEW World Championship. I don't think is in the final two matches.
No, probably not because not with Omega, Ospreay, and Danielson and Okada. No, I don't. That I agree with you. The AEW Championship's not going to be the main event. Nowhere near it.
I expect both of those matches to go 40 plus minutes.
That's what. Yeah, I agree with you. But man, they've got 11 matches on here. 10 matches in the actual show. I love the AEW pay-per-views, but man, they run so long that I get tired. About 3/4 of the way through it.
Well, I think a couple of these matches are built to be short. I think the Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club doesn't go long. Also, we haven't talked about it yet, but that NWJP, it's the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match. I don't think it'll go wrong, and I think we got to heal. We'll get to it in a minute, but back to Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, two of the top 5 wrestlers in the world. I can already tell you our boy Uncle Dave Meltzer is writing down 6 stars before the bell rings right now. This is going to be something special, folks. If you don't know what New Japan Wrestling is, these final two matches will show you what it is.
Yeah, if it was in the Tokyo Dome, he'd start out with 7 before the bell rings, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Then the next match we'll talk about real quick is Bryan Danielson against Okada. Wow, it's going to be a great match. I mean, there was a lot of talking going on. The Rainmaker coming out there last night on AEW. First time he's been on AEW that I know of. And you don't see Danielson backing away from very many people, but he did back away from him.
I think that's the first time Okada's appeared in a U.S.-based company since he was in Impact Wrestling as the masked Kato for Samoa Joe, as like the Green Lantern character. And God, Impact, did you waste him? Okada, in his late 20s, probably early 30s now, his feud with Kenny Omega is considered in Japan much like the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat feud and the Ric Flair feud is considered in the U.S. It was a trilogy. They told a great story. Okada won the first couple of matches, and they built the whole story. It was great, Howie. For the folks, if you haven't seen it, this is how they built a 3-match series. Was built on how does Kenny Omega finally beat Kazuchika Okada? How does he beat him? You know, and his big move is the One Wing Angel, and he couldn't beat him. He couldn't beat him. He couldn't beat him. He couldn't beat him. And it took the third match for him to finally beat him. And his title reign as the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion was almost disappointing after that great series of matches with Okada. Also, Bryan Danielson wants this match very much. And I know he's in I think we lost Howie. There he is. Bryan Danielson's in the downside of his career. I'm not sure how many more matches he's got, but everything that Bryan Danielson has will go into this match. Because when we say the best in the world, if I'm starting my list in front of Roman Reigns, I write down Okada.
You know, as you were speaking, that's what I was kind of sitting here looking at and wondering, because you was giving their ages of them. It's like the new up-and-comers for New Japan is going against the veterans of AEW, the older guys that's kind of on their, I don't want to say they're on their downhill slide, but they're getting close to it with Ospreay and Omega and Okada and Danielson and some of those others.
I think you're seeing some matches that guys wanted to have for a long time, and this is how they could have
right.
them. Hey, and go back to that. Go back to that Sting. There's a lot of rumors that Edge is going to be showing up in AEW at some point. I don't think his contract's up yet, but what if that was Edge that came to the ring with Sting? I mean, it's to me, it's going to be a Goldberg Edge size mystery that gets answered. Who it is, I don't know. I can tell you there's only two names that would disappoint me completely, and they're Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. So that's the two that'll disappoint me.
And you know, a small rumblings back on that match real quick. Small rumblings is my mind went blank, but he's in WWE right now, but his contract's about up. He was the champion during the pandemic.
Drew McIntyre.
He could be one.
Hey, you know what? Drew McIntyre, a lot of people don't remember, got fired from the WWE, and he went out. I always look for guys that end up in AEW are the guys who spent years on the road with the Young Bucks, with Kenny Omega, kind of, especially the Young Bucks. And Drew McIntyre was on every independent show in America. I don't know if they could get him, but I think Drew McIntyre could sell out Wembley Stadium by himself.
That's interesting right there. That's really interesting. Any more comments on the Danielson and Okada before we move on?
Go ahead and call better Okada, Danielson, or Omega, Ospreay. I'm gonna go ahead and predict match of the night. Okada, Danielson.
Well, by what you said earlier, that's an hour and 20 minutes and 2 matches right there.
And we still haven't even got to the New Japan IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, which I think Swerve coming here. And I'm going to call it. We'll see.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Sanada against Jungle Boy Jack Perry with Hook in the corner. What's the deal with Hook being in the corner?
I think that's our Swerve. I think Sanada is a young up-and-comer, and he's been around. Sanada, for lack of a better word, has been the tag team specialist in Japan for a decade and won all these tag team championships. And Sanada's been the guy coming and coming and coming. But I don't know if Sanada and Jack Perry can hold the attention for 40 minutes like Danielson and Okada. They can't. So the Hook thing struck me as if we're going to have a big face heel turn. I've been waiting for Jungle Boy to go heel, but I've also been waiting on Hook to go heel. So I think that's a great feud if they want to set this up. Sanada gets the win, gets the easy out, and somebody turns on somebody in that Jungle Hook situation.
It's going to be crazy when one of those turn, because both of them gets big pops every time they come out to the ring. If either one of them turns, I would hope it will be Jungle Boy, because I really do like Hook as a babyface.
How can you love me if you don't hate me first?
Yeah, well, I just like his attitude.
That's my second JC quote of the night. So
one more, and Stephen P. News will be calling you, and
hey, I may be in trouble if I.
Okay.
Hey, Stephen, fire it up, because I think I'm probably going to get a Jim. If I talk wrestling, there's going to be 3 Jim Cornette quotes.
We touched on a little bit earlier, MJF versus Tanahashi.
The Ace.
I think it'll be,
The Ace.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay, but I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be a very long match because of the way MJF has been acting.
Tanahashi is John Cena. And I mean, if you want to draw a comparison, Tanahashi is, they call him the generational talent. He is John Cena of New Japan. But I could see there's a lot of miles on Tanahashi, and I could see them doing some kind of swerve to get this over pretty fast, to get this done. I don't know. It's kind of a strange matchup. I expect Adam Cole to get involved somehow. I just don't. Listen, I don't want to say this, but MJF has lost some thunder in this, and we need something to happen to bring him back. MJF as Chicken S champion doesn't work for me, and that's what he's been the last. You won't wrestle on TV. He's a perfect Chicken S heel, and the thing about MJF that made him viable was every time it's kind of like every time he does wrestle, it's a special thing, and he wins, and he just shocks you. And lately, it's been time limit draw. I think he's won more bouts with the shot to the groin than he has anything, and it's a little bit of, like I said, if your finish is muddy all the time, it gets muddy in the fan's head. There's not a strong MJF is not going over Tanahashi strong in this match, so they've got to get him out and they've got to get him in.
It's going to be the diamond ring that's going to be the effect of that. He's going to use it and get caught, and that might be a rare disqualification in AEW.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to the next match. We already talked about the, to be determined, the partner of Darby and Sting. We're not sure about that. We got the 4-way match for the AEW International Championship with Orange Cassidy, Jack Sabre, Daniel Garcia, and Shibata.
So, first of all, if you're going to keep throwing Daniel Garcia in this, somebody buy that boy some new ring gear.
You saw it last night too, didn't you?
Yeah. Buy him some gear, all right?
Yeah, it's pretty rough because every time the camera would get where they thought they'd have a good shot, they'd have to change it real quick. So
I see less crack than I did last night.
The tag match last night was pretty good. But we know Orange Cassidy's going to come out the champion after this.
Shibata is an interesting. For those that don't know, Shibata suffered a career, like not just a career, not an edge career. Oh, his neck's messed up. He's going to have to retire. Literally, how he carried out on a stretcher, doubts whether he'd ever walk again. And I wonder if they wouldn't put the title on Shibata. And here's why. Shibata works for New Japan Wrestling, we all know. But Shibata's role after his injury is now running the dojo in LA. And I don't know if people know this, but there's a dojo. They have a young boys dojo in LA where they take American wrestlers, because New Japan has as many American wrestlers as half of their stable, I'd say, is American wrestlers. And Shibata has been appearing regular on AEW, that he is now, he's stationed in LA and he's regular on there. I could see them putting a title on Shibata if there's anybody they're going to put it on for New Japan Wrestling, just because he is stateside and could turn it back over. But this Orange Cassidy thing and this title run, it's fun, but it's getting a little. What are they going to do, Howie? Are they going to make him the second world champion in AEW? Is he going to be the Collision world champion eventually?
Yeah, if CM Punk don't stay around very long, yeah. Everybody knows that Orange Cassidy is and don't get me wrong, I like Orange Cassidy. I like it when he works. I like his gimmick myself. A lot of people's tired of it, but I still kind of enjoy it. But it's one of these things where he is a Tony Khan favorite. And so, I mean, he's got to be, because he opens up every show just about.
He's not just a Tony Khan favorite. I think over in Huntsville, he might have got the biggest pop of the night.
Yeah.
When that song plays, I mean, and he does his stick, but he can go.
Yeah.
But his stick confuses me sometimes. And I'll admit, this is hard for me to say because I'm big. I don't like his stick. I don't. I like it better now than when it was new, because now I kind of know it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I'm familiar with it, and I know it's going to be 2 minutes of him being pockets, and then he's going to go. But I'm not a big fan of it. It's great for the young people, though. Kids seem to, in the crowd, they were more kids under 16, no, under 14, dressed like Orange Cassidy over in Huntsville than anybody else. So
yeah,
it is what it is, and it really is a younger kind of vibe. So I don't know. I'm going to call upset. I'm going to say the title gets took off of him for a short period of time. I don't think they want another Jade Cargill, and that's what it's becoming pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah, actually it is, because like I said, he's opened up pretty much every Dynamite. If he's not the first match, he's the second match. And but he's over, like you said, he got the huge pop over in Huntsville. And he is a Tony Khan favorite. Some of the stick that he does, yeah, I agree with you. I don't like, but some of that stuff I do like, and I enjoy watching him when he decides he wants to wrestle.
I love the kick up with the kip up with the hands in the pocket. It's just really the lame A super kicks to the shin that really just tears me up.
So that's what I like. I like that part of it.
I just want somebody to reach over and punch him in the face one time.
Yeah, well, it's probably going to happen sooner than later.
Yeah.
So.
Now, for folks that ain't seen Shibata, he's a 30-something version of Minoru Suzuki. So you get punched in the face real easy. I like Shibata. I think Shibata was on his way to an IWGP title run, and this definitely derailed him. Also, we haven't even talked about. There's some talk out there that there could be there's a couple of big free agents in Japan and that one of them could show up as a permanent part of AEW.
Oh, that's interesting. And then I think the last match we're going to cover is Adam Cole against Tom Lawler. Why it's in there, I don't know, but go for it, Randy.
Well, Dirty Tom Lawler has been making if you've not seen MLW, Dirty Tom, UFC fame, has for the last 4 or 5 years made a living out of being a pro wrestler. If you've not seen, there's a couple. Okay, I'm gonna side rail this. There is I don't know why, but there's a few elite talents in MLW. One of them being Maxwell Jacob Freeland. That's where MJF came from. Alexander Hammerstone is I thought would already be out in the WWE. Jacob Fatu, same thing. That's Roman Reigns' cousin.
Yeah.
But some reason they're real loyal. And Tom Lawler, the WWE would love to get their hands on somebody that's a legit, was he ever a world champion? I don't think he was, but I mean, he was probably more famous than Matt Riddle ever was as a UFC fighter. If you want to legitimize Adam Cole, Dirty Tom Lawler is a way to do it. But I don't understand if this is a one-off for Tom Lawler or if this is a working deal with MLW. MLW is not bad wrestling. Matter of fact, it's probably my favorite. I like MLW better than NWA, but I think it's been holding on for a long time on a thread. So it doesn't make no sense. Doesn't have no build up. You're just taking two huge names, and it's kind of like an indie wrestling match. You just show up and you know who both guys are, and they're going to wrestle.
Right. Yeah. And Adam Cole may be there for a reason because of, like you talked about earlier with the MJF match, for him to do some type of something because of their feud that they got going on.
And Dirty Tom he's kind of a crazy character. He could end up being a baby face or not. So it's stacked up to be a great card. The last AEW pay-per-view, I'd like $49 back. I'm really excited about this one. I plan on purchasing it, and I plan on, I can tell my excitement, but if I start planning things around it. And I got a coupon for Buffalo Wild Wings from Father's Day. I'm planning on having some wings brought in, and I'm, gonna do my thing. And I believe it is Saturday night, correct?
Sunday night.
Sunday night. So
Collision is Saturday night.
Yeah, you're right. That means I'm gonna take a nap Sunday because this thing's gonna go late. This is at least a midnight pay-per-view.
See, that's what I'm talking about as far as, excuse me, the fact of so many matches, and they're going to go long on a lot of them. And so when they had their pay-per-views on Saturday night, man, it was great because you didn't have to worry about getting up so early the next morning. But now with it being on Sundays, I got to get up and be at work at, pretty early in the morning. And so it makes it hard to watch them.
I did read an article where having them on Saturday, you end up competing heads up with NBA basketball, Major League Baseball, college football.
But right now, none of that stuff is going on except for the baseball.
Yeah.
WWE has flipped theirs over to Saturday nights right now.
Well, the WWE is doing stupid stuff. They're having their pay-per-view in the middle of the day, which I'm okay with it being on Sunday if you started at 12. But I also like a pay-per-view to feel like a special event. And I don't know why.
Right.
Watching a pay-per-view in the middle of the day don't do it for me.
Well, because when pay-per-views first started, they were at night. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm anticipating a major shock at this one too, and I'm anticipating major storylines to be. Let's face it, the Wembley Stadium show is the biggest show in AEW history.
Yes.
And they've got to pull off something huge. So this is their last chance to build this up, get it ready. And I'm sure me and you and Jeremy will probably get together for the Wembley Stadium show. I think it's going to be I actually think it's going to be a Saturday show because of the timing.
Right.
West Coast, East Coast. I think it's going to be night in England, which would put it in early to middle of the day for us. So
I'll say that's why the WWE, some of their pay-per-views have been in the day because of the time difference.
now the one in Puerto Rico, same out. Never mind. I ain't got over that one yet.
Well, Puerto Rico wasn't during the day, was it?
Well, I don't think it was, but I watched it during the middle of the day.
Well, that's not you there if you watch it on the middle of the day.
Maybe, now I'm just admitting that I'm misremembering that one. So I'm
you're thinking about the last one that they had, which was in the middle of the day because they was over in Saudi.
Yeah, it was. I hate it.
So
best thing ever happened in Saudi is Titus O'Neil going under the ring. Hey, folks, that's the best thing that's ever happened on those pay-per-views was Titus sliding up and under the ring. After that, I don't care.
You called me that afternoon. You called me that day because I had watched it, and I couldn't stop laughing so long to tell you what was going on. And I just told you I barely got out, watched the show, and I just hung up.
Yeah,
and then a few hours later, you called me back, and you was laughing too.
I struggle with WWE. Everybody knows I do, and I'll admit, during that period where Hunter was kind of in charge and Vince was gone, best WWE wrestling I'd ever seen. I really got into it. It was really good. And there's some things happening now that are. I really, for some reason, I like Seth Rollins' run this time too. But yeah, when I watched it, have you ever got so tickled that you just couldn't stop? I started hiccuping, and I couldn't stop hiccuping for like 5 minutes. And then every time I sat here and rerun it like for a good 20 minutes. I kept running it back, and it was the fun. It's
hilarious.
I don't know what the WWE plays Titus to be an ambassador now. It's not worth it. That man grabbing Vince on the stage, suspended for a year, and then sliding up and under the ring. He has had the most checkered WWE career of anyone. And hey, he took sliding under the ring like a champ. He was like, it happened, So, was you surprised Briscoe was left off the card? Because I was a bit surprised.
No, I wasn't surprised about that because he's kind of in no man's land at the moment. He's done a couple of singles matches, but most of the stuff he's done in AEW they've been throwing him a tag team partner, and I think they're trying to figure out for sure what he may even trying to figure out for sure what he wants to do. Does he want to do the single, or does he want to find a tag team partner?
I kind of thought maybe it'd be something with Jeff Jarrett again.
But I am surprised that FTR is not on that card.
No, FTR is not on it.
I know the Hardys can't be on there because Jeff can't go to Canada.
That's true. I didn't think about that. I can't go to Canada, but that's my legal problem to deal with. Can't go to Florida and Canada, and I ain't missed a damn thing in either one of them. Thank you.
Good. Could it be that Briscoe can't go to Canada for some reason?
No, Mark's as far as I know, has always been. And I do know that him and Jay would wrestle over the border some.
Okay.
Look, I'm just going to say it. Mark Briscoe needs a Ring of Honor World Championship run. Worse, and that's the only way to bring that title to mean something. Maybe is to put it on Mark Briscoe.
Yeah.
And the concession stand brawl this week, dude.
Yeah.
Most staged, hokey thing I've ever seen in wrestling. It was horrible.
Just a lot of wasted food.
If you go back and watch Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee and Wayne Ferris, Honky Tonk Man, and I forgot what they were calling his partner, Larry Latham, who turned into Moondog Spot. And and if you know the story behind that, all right, we're gonna 2 seconds. I'm gonna tell you the story. Everybody left the territory. Everybody. All they had down there was a couple of single wrestlers. Ferris, Honky Tonk Man, for those that don't know, is Jerry Lawler's first cousin. Latham was his partner. They stayed. Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler, of course, stayed. They fired Fuller, not Ron, Robert, as the booker that week because business was so bad. So Jarrett was like, I've got to come up with something to do. And I think the card was single matches between Latham and Dundee and Lawler and Ferris. And then the main event was a tag team match between them. So like they literally had only those 4 guys. And the guy running the Tupelo Arena had this popcorn machine. And if you look at the brawl, he told Jerry Jarrett that if they did anything to his popcorn machine, that, it was over. Don't touch his popcorn machine. And Jerry Jarrett, who owned Memphis, was like, sure, we won't touch it. He said he went to the guys and said, do everything you can to make him think you're going to tear his popcorn machine up. But you can see they never tear it up. But that first concession stand brawl compared to this is about like me and you becoming Magic Mike. It's not coming up good for anybody. It's just going to be 2 fat guys on a strip stage if me and you're doing it. It was horrible. And I was looking so forward to it. And when I watched it, I was like, could you make some more staged area? That didn't look like concession stands. It looked like some stuff you pulled, and Anna Lee and some of her friends took crayons and faked up a concession stand. So it was horrible.
It was. Absolutely.
You want to do a quick prediction of all the matches, and then we'll call it a night?
All right. I've got rid of the matches, but you call them out and I'll predict them.
I think I done. I'm going to go by what I got here, and we'll just start at the bottom, okay?
No, that's fine. I got it pulled back up. Well, no, I don't either. Go ahead.
Here, I got it, Mr. Host. Give you this hosting detail one time. And
pre-match, you got Athena against Billy Starks. Who you got?
I'm going to go with that's a pre-match. I'm going to go with Athena just because I still think there's some life in Athena's character.
Well, Athena's in the Ring of Honor. I think she's a women's Ring of Honor champion.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing something with her. That was my point.
Right. Kenny Omega. Yeah, I got Athena as well. Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay.
How about this? Omega won the first time. This time goes to a time limit draw and sets up a third match in Wembley. So I'm going to go draw Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega.
I'm going Ospreay. That way it'll make the third match come true, the rubber match, to see who wins.
Yeah. Well, if it goes draw, I'm saying that Will Ospreay is going to get over. I think either way, Will Ospreay is going. Will Ospreay winning in England is about as sure as me going and getting some more of those chicken wings out of the refrigerator when we're finished talking.
I had Bryan Danielson against Okada.
Kazuchika Okada. I think Bryan Danielson dreams of this match, but I don't think it would be as. I think Danielson thinks he needs to put Okada over on North America soil.
I'm going with Danielson on this one. I think the Blackpool Combat Club is they're trying to keep them hot and heavy, so I'm going with Danielson on this. Sanada against Jack Perry.
Double disqualification of some kind. Sanada gets the win in some hook or crook.
Yeah, Sanada's going to win because he's He's an IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. You know, the Jungle Boy is not going to be the champion. So,
Yeah.
MJF versus Tanahashi.
Another dusty mess. MJF gets the win over a legend. But that's what you want your world champion to do in this. The Diamond Ring, I think you called it, gets involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't think they want MJF to win clean, but they want him to hold the belt, of course. So I think it's going to be MJF with the ring somehow. We got the Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Suzuki against Sting, Darby Allin, and possibly Goldberg, maybe where Jeremy Johnson's at. He may be
He's on a beach somewhere if there's a beach in Canada. Sting and Darby and their mystery partner.
You know, I won't go with Jericho and them because of the mystery partner. It depends on who the mystery partner is. If it's Goldberg, I'm going to say it's going to be Jericho and them because Goldberg will want a rematch against whoever pins him. So I'm going with Jericho and them.
I do think it's Goldberg, but we'll see.
We got the Blackpool Combat Club with Moxley, Yuta, and Castagnoli, Shota, and what's the last one? Umina against the Elite. Adam Page, Matt and Nick Jackson, Eddie Kingston, and Ishii.
Hey, the only way I don't know which way this goes. Either Willow gets pinned clean, or I almost think Eddie Kingston ends up doing something crazy and ends up turning on the guys.
Are you serious? Eddie Kingston doing something crazy?
Eddie Kingston deserves a world championship too. So I'm gonna go the BCC wins it.
I agree with you there. I think the BCC, going back to my earlier pick with Danielson, they're wanting that to be the hottest clique in the AEW at the moment.
And the Elite went over them clean in the 4-way.
Right.
Last pay-per-view.
Absolutely. The next match is the Owen Hart Cup tournament. CM Punk against, who's it? Kamija? How do you pronounce that?
Just CM Punk and let's move on. CM Punk ain't going to lose.
Yep. CM Punk, I agree. The fourth match for the AEW International Championship, Orange Cassidy, Zack Sabre, Shibata, and Daniel Garcia.
I'm gonna stick with the Shibata upset.
I don't see Orange Cassidy losing the title for a while, so unless he gets hurt. So I'm going with Orange Cassidy on that. The singles match, AEW Women's World Heavyweight Championship, Toni Storm against Willow Nightingale.
I wish this was Sasha Banks, Toni Storm.
Yeah, I agree. Toni Storm, and I wish it was Mercedes Moné instead of Willow Nightingale. But
appearance.
Do what?
What if she makes an appearance?
That's what I was fixing to say. What if she comes out to interfere where Toni Storm wins? Oh, lost Randy.
You ain't lose me. I accidentally dialed myself on my other phone.
Oh, okay. There you go. And then the last match, well, not the last match of the night, but the last one we'll be picking Adam Cole against Tom Lawler. I'm going with Adam Cole because I don't know who Tom Lawler is.
Adam Cole, baby!
Are you surprised that there's not more women's matches?
I'm surprised anytime Britt Baker is not on a AEW pay-per-view because she's one of the best 4 or 5 wrestlers in AEW.
Well, with it being Japan Pro Wrestling, a lot of it on there, you would think somebody like Shota or Riho would at least have some type of match on there.
Well, they're not New Japan wrestlers, actually. And it's strange, but they're actually looked down upon in New Japan. It was really a big deal.
Not necessarily. I know they're not New Japan wrestlers, but just being Japanese people.
Yeah. You know, they got Shikara and stuff, but I'm surprised Chris Statlander is not on the card,
Right.
I think I throw a crazy women's match together and set a couple of these other matches like Statlander and Dr. Britt Baker and a couple of those versus Ruby Soho and Anna Jay, and you get 8 minutes because that women's division is hurting, and they actually have some viable talent in it right now that needs some exposure. And of course Jeremy's favorite, what's she called, Blue Sky.
Sky Blue.
Yeah, I got a photo I'm gonna blow up for him someday and put it on his wall. Miss you, Jeremy J. Love you, brother.
Yeah, I mean, instead of the Adam Cole and Tom Lawler, why not have another women's match?
Yeah, I'd be happy with Adam Cole running into the MJF and calling it a night.
Yeah.
I do expect the last Forbidden Door was kind of moments full, so I kind of expect some Now the last Forbidden Door, a lot of in New Japan, the two biggest stars are Tanahashi and Okada. With them already announced, there's not a lot of factors left in New Japan. So it's to me, if you're going to have any factor, it's going to be somebody shockingly start showing up from the U.S. And you never ever count out Jeff. Well, you said he can't go in the country. The best heel right now in AEW is Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett.
Yeah, absolutely. And being in Canada, with this being in Canada, a breeding ground for wrestling history, you never know who's going to show up.
Could one of the Impact guys show up or girls?
It's very possible.
Frankie Kazarian's up there. There's a couple of old AEW guys up there, so it could be something is going to show up that's going to make us go, well, I wasn't expecting that. So,
right. Absolutely. Randy, I enjoyed it. Great show tonight. Enjoyed going over this. Looking forward to seeing the matches come Sunday night, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll try, watch River City Media, and we'll try. If we see Jeremy, we didn't even know he was out of town till tonight, but if we see him back in town, we might try to get that Billy Superstar Graham special up next week. If not, we'll get on here and talk about, you might actually see us just come talk about if the pay-per-view is as good as we think it is. I think we'll probably be talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And quick shout out to our sponsor, Wilburn's Waxing Solutions. Randy's pulling the picture up as we speak. In 3, 2, 1.
Oh, don't put pressure on me. I got to scroll.
Anyway, check out Wilburn's Waxing Solutions for all your waxing needs. No job's too big or too small for them. They've been hitting up a lot of the Jackson County school systems here in Alabama. And so give them a call, and I have a bigger picture than
that. I do have a bigger picture than that, and that's what I'm looking for. Don't tell me. There it is. There we go.
Wilbur's Waxing
I got a newer picture than that one. That's the old picture. I don't know what I did with the new picture.
But call for free estimates. No jobs too big or too small. 256-996-9731. Wilburn's Waxing Solutions. Proud sponsor of River City Media.
Those guys, this stuff's free. I mean, it's just me and Howie, but it is free. You didn't have to turn on your TV one time to get this quality entertainment. So go help those guys. And hey, I'm trying to get to 2,000 people on River City Media. How about going and smashing, liking, and following? We're growing. Hey, we're going so fast, I don't even know what to do sometimes. But we don't even think to ask. Just go follow us. Go follow us, because look, where else could you get this face at? I mean, look at it. It's like a bad cartoon.
If you want a good laugh for the night, go Google Titus O'Neil falling going into the ring.
Okay. That's always good. Hey, when I'm depressed, I go Google that. I quit using drugs 21 years ago, and Titus O'Neil is the closest thing I found to it since then.
Take us out of here, Andy.
For Randall Cunningham, QB1, down at the beach, JJ Jeremy Johnson, our hero, Howie Chaney. You know what we are? We're real. We're real, damn it. Till next week, we're out.